that although I wished to continue serving you as your president for a second term and final term, I will respectfully step aside and participate in a smooth.
On November 1, 2024, Botswana's President Mokgweetsi Masisi conceded defeat in the general election, marking a historic shift in power after 58 years of the Botswana Democratic Party rule. Masisi's concession came even before the final results were announced, with his party, the BDP, trailing in fourth place in the parliamentary elections. Partial results showed the main opposition, the Umbrella for Democratic Change, UDC, holding a strong lead, positioning their candidate, Duma Boko, as the likely next president of Botswana. In his concession, Masisi revealed he had called Boko to formally acknowledge the results and accept the outcome. Reflecting on his tenure, Masisi defended his policies, but acknowledged that they may have contributed to the end of his administration. The outgoing president also encouraged members of the defeated ruling party to accept the results and respect the will of the people.
My fellow Botswana, I stand before you this morning, humbled but proud. At the end of my first term as president, I wish to congratulate the opposition on their victory and concede the election. I am proud of our democratic processes and I respect the will of the people. I wish to assure you, all of you, as I've already assured the President-elect, I assume, Advocate Duma Boko, that although I wished to continue serving you as your president for a second term and final term, I will respectfully step aside and participate in a smooth transition process ahead of inauguration. I'd like to thank the BDP and its supporters and encourage them all to accept the democratic results and the will of the people. The BDP has led this country since its birth. We were established as a beacon of truth and democracy. We believed it then, and we continue to believe it today. Starting tomorrow, or as in my discussion with the President-elect, at a time convenient to him, we will begin all administrative work to facilitate the transition, and I assure you that I will not take any actions to hinder or slow down this process. I will also hand over all outstanding government matters to the new president, so he may adjust them after his inauguration. I'll continue to serve your interests and the interests of my beloved Botswana within the parameters of our Constitution. I have promised to do my part in building a stronger country from within and to work with the new administration to ensure that every Botswana has opportunities at their fingertips. I look forward to attending the inauguration and cheering on my new president, and also to wish the new president my very best in his first term and to guarantee him he will enjoy my full support. I can confirm that I've spoken to President-elect yesterday, twice, and this morning, twice. Most recently, just before this press conference, to congratulate him, wish him well, and to inform him that I'm making a concession speak at a press conference publicly, and so be it. So thank you very much. It's been a good journey, a lovely contest. I enjoyed it thoroughly hard. Thank you. The first question, where do I think I got it wrong? I think it may be too early to delve into the deep analysis, but clearly we got it wrong. If you measure by the response to our message and to our appeal, as demonstrated by the people through the voice of the vote, it didn't appeal to them. We will have to delve deep and find out exactly where we got it wrong. But we got it wrong big time in the eyes of the people. Clearly, we were convinced we had it right. We were really convinced about our message. We stand by our principles in our manifesto, and we put out a very pragmatic, plausible, deliverable manifesto. So I really don't want to speculate too deeply about where we might have gotten it wrong until we sit down and reflect. As you might imagine, there hasn't really been much time to sit down and reflect on this. But the final result has not come out yet. I mean, in terms of the Chief Justice pronouncing, but every indication by any measure is that there's no way that I can pretend that we're going to form a government. And like I said before, we never would have been interested in a coalition, and right now I don't think we qualify anyway. So we're quite happy to retreat into being a loyal opposition and to hold the government accountable. I'm clearly very proud of the negotiation with the BS. I think it stands out, and I'll be looking out what happens to it. I did also say that I was prepared to lose the election over it. If this has anything to do with it, I stand very proud that I stood my ground on it. But I'm proud of the agricultural programs we put in place, empowerment programs, putting Botswana first, and the structural adjustment we were getting into the economy. Now, I really enjoyed myself. It was tough work. I worked very hard. My typical day was very long. I worked 6 to 7 days a week, daily. I've been working hard since 2019, and trust me. So I think it may, unexpected as it is, become as a good time to rest. So that's it. No, like I said before, I stand by what I said. I stand by the way I said it. None of you, including my critics and the cynics, were there in the room with me or in the office and experienced what I did. But there will be a day when I tell it. And so I'm generally a very nice guy, polite and likable. So I don't lose my temper easily. Neither do I talk in strong language easily. But trust me, I had to. Let me leave it to the analysts and those who are more capable of delving into determining what may have caused the downturn, including other factors, such as the surge in the sales of diamonds and all that. Whatever it is, this is behind us now, and we will reflect on it. But I stand very proud about the posture and the stance I took. Through negotiation, I earned for this country 10 billion over 10 years. It's unprecedented in the Diamonds Development Fund. And so when we put our manifesto forward, we front-loaded it with this money coming through, 1 billion every year. So I don't agree with the assertion that I was rough on DBS, and we will wait and see. Me?
Erre, ette
No, I won't. I will not. At least I wish not to. But it's a BDP matter. We will go back to the party and reflect. I wish you were conversant with the constitution of the BDP sufficiently, because if you really were, you know the answer to it. And just to remind those who don't know, when the BDP is in power, the president of the party of the country is the president of the party. And the only time when the president of the country is the same as that of the party, when we're in power, that the president is subject to a challenge, is in the year of an election. We have a special Congress to nominate the presidential candidate. Other than that, the president is not subject to a vote in the elected congresses in between. But when the party is not in power, the Congress positions are up for grabs by anybody. And but I will have to go and discuss this as a party. We're going to have a central committee meeting tomorrow, for instance, at which we will deliberate on a number of issues going forward. But yes, the VTP will live. It's a very strong brand, a very strong party. It's embedded in many of us. And I think I can say safely that it will contest the 2029 elections. I think, one of the things that I hold dear are the values of our democratic practice, dispensation. I would argue, some might disagree with me, we are the most democratic party in the country, and we are democratic. So it is in our DNA to be democratic. And so when we go for an election, we know the outcome could be different from what we expect. As we've been demonstrating over the years, when we lost some council seats, we lost some parliamentary seats. And this time, we lost the whole of government in a big way. Why would we not submit to it when others have been submitting to our defeat of them through this process all the time? We are convinced that our institutions are mature, sturdy, and they need our support so that we can continue to run this country in a manner different from some who have given up or lost faith in the democratic process. We will not. But again, that's an internal party matter. Like I say, we're democratic. If the will of the majority in the party is put to a test, we will subscribe, abide by it. Very easily. It's not a problem. But you may be more embedded in the party than I am. In terms of your knowledge so far, I'm not.
So, last one, your last word to Botswana.
No, this is not my last word to Botswana. There can't be a last word. But perhaps as president, like I said in my statement, I thank them. I appeal to them to remain calm. They must rally behind the new government, and the public service must do the same. Because the principle we work by is that the public service is apolitical. They serve the government of the day. So I expect all focus to shift and stand ready to take instruction and subscribe to the dictates of the new administration. We are Botswana, so we will continue, and God is always with us. The relationship I have with President Mnangagwa is the same relationship I have with the neighboring presidents. It's very public. It's very open. It's premised on our policy, our foreign policy. It's premised on the dictates of our security concerns. It's premised on the dictates of our bilateral relations, including the collective responsibility we subscribe to through SADC and other multilateral and regional organizations. It was nothing untoward. As to the preposterous suggestions that we were planning to rig, it's a total fabrication. As to the insult to the IEC that they benchmarked in Zimbabwe in order to do what may be untoward, look, I'm sure you observed our elections. I don't think they were different from past elections in the way they were conducted. The outcome was different, certainly. I'm not convinced Botswana were angered. I didn't come across any, except obviously in the course of political contest, there were allegations and suggestions, accusations thrown, but that's in the nature of politics. And I don't believe them. I'm sure they don't believe in themselves. Remember the first allegations are that we're going to have Namibians vote. And that didn't seem to be so attractive. It was meant to be dead people voting. When that didn't seem to be so attractive, at least the most recent I heard was, it was Zimbabweans who were going to vote. Just remember how those who are public and criticizing us responded when we agreed with Namibia to use the national ID to cross borders. They still rejected it, but it wasn't saying so much because there was such overwhelming support, and it was actually done. But we go through a very elaborate, detailed process of discussion, negotiation, cross-checking and validation, and checking that our systems can talk to one another with every country. We do the same right now with Zimbabwe. We do the same with South Africa. We do the same with Angola, and Zambia. But clearly, those who are haters of Zimbabwe, even though we have many relatives there, many of them went to school there, and because we also called for the removal of sanctions against Zimbabwe, clearly there was some mischief in that. But I can swear sincerely, there was nothing untoward. We have a different system from Zimbabwe. We don't operate like they do, and we respect them. It's a sovereign state, and we have relations with them, like we have with any other state that we choose relations with, and I don't regret it. Well, I said first, that's an internal party matter. 2, we have a central committee meeting tomorrow. 3, depending on the decision of the central committee, we will dialogue with Madongra. It's really a PDP matter, right? But as for me, I think I was quite quick to say I wasn't interested. I would not be seeking re-election, right? No, Ghana we have a relationship. Masisi has a relationship with the party, and sometimes the party prevails. Sometimes Masisi prevails in terms of what's personal. Just wait. You'll know. I don't get into issues of security operations. So it's not a decision that I would take. And security sector would know what to do. Right? But we've had very congenial discussions with him. And he didn't express lack of safety. It was fatigue, like we all are tired, and all that. And yes, I spoke with some party elders. I was not able to speak to some because they called me late at night, and I was genuinely very tired. And I will continue speaking to them. But I also speak to all the party members, as we should. I've spoken to a good many of our candidates, and told them of this. I'm going to concede, and they must also be congenial and graceful. Right? I don't want any conspiracy theories setting in, because you know what conspiracy theories can do. However aggrieved you feel, there's a process. We believe in the rule of law, if anything. But for now, the evidence is overwhelming. We've lost this election massively, right? And we need to come to terms with it and make space and give opportunity to the newly elected leaders and respect them and support them so that they can succeed, because it's Botswana's success that's most important. I mean, my views were not born out of malice. I'm not even avaricious or vexatious. They're based purely on principle. And I've also said in my views that I, as a former president, whether it comes now or in 2028, as I had wished it would be, I would never come and harass a sitting president. My views are unchanged. And my views of him and about him are unchanged. And remember, I also said that I supported him, and I have no regrets about it. My views are unchanged. I was a loyal minister, assistant minister first, MP, and minister and vice president to former President Dr. Lieutenant General Ian Kama. It's history, I don't regret it. Look at my hands. They look clean. I feel they're clean. I know they're clean. If anybody finds any evidence, they can take me to court. Actually, now would be the time, because in our constitution, the protection of the presidency is only temporary. So if anybody finds anything, I will submit myself to the dictates of the law, and if I'm found guilty and I'm sentenced, whatever the sentence, I will serve it. But I'm confident. There's nothing untoward that I did. Unless it's political decisions. That's another matter. But as for money or assets and, you know, all the allegations about Okavango, I'm supposed to have owned that piece of land in the Okavango Delta. I'm supposed to be owner of that thing. Outdoor Lodge. I'm supposed to have awarded myself a farm in Banyana. These are the ones that I know, or even awarded senders to my sister directly. Let the evidence come. I am clean. I say so today, tomorrow, forever. It's just not true. So I'm quite confident. It might be nice to document it, wouldn't it? You know, I'm still at State House. I'm going to begin the process of packing up. I've discussed it with the president-elect, and I'm not sure yet where I'm going to stay, but I'm not worried about it. There are options, right? It should be easy. But you know, I didn't pack a shoe because I didn't expect it. So I was busy campaigning, I didn't pack anything. So we'll start afresh. And typically when you are in government service, you're given 2-3 months to be able to vacate a house, and then obviously it's got to be cleaned up and all that. But they have a lot of work to do in State House. It's a very old building. And when I moved in, which was about a year more after I had become president, they had only managed, because they said there was no money, they had only managed to maintain half the building by BHC. BHC maintenance came and painted and changed a few carpets and cabinets. In the other half, I was told they would do it while I was in the State House. And I really couldn't be bothered by that, so I never invited them in. I continued staying in it unmaintained, and it's very old. I mean, in the place where I live, often there's a short circuiting, you know, and the cables are extremely old. So I'd be really glad to get out of that place. And I had been talking to the executive and the cabinet for a long time, wanting to get out of State House. I want to go live in my own little house, the longest. And I was getting the most resistance, so I thought out of respect for their views, I would hold on. But now it doesn't matter, I'll go. I know it's new, we're all learning, but it will happen. No, it won't be I keep saying it won't be my last message to them. Canada are not all here. And clearly I can only say so much in the public. A lot of them are internal to the BDP. But I've said it before. It says, look, we've lost the election. Even they must concede gracefully. We don't want any conspiracy theories setting in, because many emerge. Because people are shocked in the but they don't want it. They can't believe it. They're acting out in many ways. We don't want that. It's principle. Stick to it. And be gracious in your loss. Don't try and blame this or that. You were there watching it. There are many things that surprise you, but it's okay. Yes.
Good morning, President.
Good morning, Mr. President. A brief statement, please.
I don't know if you heard the debate, because that question came up. Were you there? You were not. Did you watch it? Or did you hear the answer? We're not broke. The government is not broke. The government investment account has reduced significantly. And there are reasons for that. We have hardly had any diamond sales, which is our biggest revenue earner, since April. But our expenditure has also gone up because of our budget, which is approved in Parliament. Right? Now, our economic fundamentals are intact. Right? But we need to keep a close eye on the behavior of the GIA and expenditure, which we're doing. And what we do, as we have done before, austerity measures kick in at the right time. We started in August. We started limiting expenditure. We started calling in some of the votes from the ministries to centralize the Ministry of Finance, because there was clear lack of careful spending in some, which we could use to save. We've issued contracts, signed contracts for the projects that we approved in Parliament. And whenever you sign a contract in our system, the first thing you check for is to be assured the funds are there. So the roads we're doing, right? The hospitals we're building, all the signed contracts, by law they will have to be respected. Now, one of the things you do when you kick in structural measures is any new contract that might come, that's when you pause. You could delay it. Any new developments typically would get delayed. What we also assured the public, as I do now, at least whilst the president, the new president can make a different pronouncement, we will make sure that we keep people alive. Right? If you recall, Ghana, we decided that the 30% subsidy on animal feed will go on until the end of January. We were going to review in January because we expect the rains to have rained and some grass to have come up and then lift it. Right? So, as to service providers not being paid in time as they were used to, we've addressed this time and again. And the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Communication Technology has been at it. We have a system called GAPS, right? It's presenting problems. It's a payment system, an accounting system. And if you look at the enormity of our expenditure, enormity of our budget, and the narrowness of our economy, and the dependency on government spending by everybody, yourselves included, when the system has a problem, everybody sneezes. We have tried to ameliorate that by opening up and using the local government systems. And it is relief provided, and even the manual ones. But whenever you open up others, there's a risk. So we've got to be really careful at this risk. We're also trying to manage abuse, corruption, what have you. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that we don't lose our money. But all this is going to be part of the handover. The new president will be comprehensively and thoroughly briefed, and whoever else he designates to look after these things. And the public service is there. They know all this. A lot of this does not rest with us. They manage this, they manipulate it, and they will advise. I hope I've answered your question. But people will be paid the salaries. I'm just talking about the salaries that we are responsible for. The new salaries, I hand over. I hand over. And the new entitlements. We are looking forward to it. There are many lessons. If you ask about lessons learned and my experiences, my perceptions, there are so many. There are very many. I have them, and time permitting, I will share them in as much detail as possible. I think I owe it to my country, which is privileged me. It's a very great privilege to be president. I'm very grateful for it. None of you have had it yet. And so when people do this to you, this honor they gave me, I think it's only honorable for me to also reflect to them. This is what you did to me, and this is what I found, learned, experienced. So It's a big question. I think I cannot completely answer it right now, but there are lots and lots of lessons. I think I probably had the most interesting presidency in this country. I had the most challenging, but you know what? I enjoyed being president. That you must never doubt. I loved my job, but I prefer to leave it because there are many things that I can do, very many, including being a journalist. So shall we say thank you and God bless. You're gonna miss me. Wouldn't it be nice if I asked you questions? Yeah?
Yes.
No, let's have another press conference. Right? I don't know who'll come. Then I can ask you questions. All right? Thanks.